Okay, a little update on our 1976 restoration project. You'll see by this diagram that the sending unit in the tank sends a signal to your fuel gauge. I checked fuel gauge. It all seemed good. So I tore the sending unit out of the tank, cleaned everything, put it all back in, checked with the ohm meter, and the ohms are running at 2, which it should be. So it's working fine. I tore the lid off of the tank, which to my dismay was full of water. So this is what's caused the issue with the floorboards rotting in this one spot. So I got the indicator back in, gas gauge is working. I'm going to install this, put it all back together, and this time I'm going to seal up this with some silicone so that we don't have this issue again. So good news, gas gauge working. So over to our next project. As you can see, starter is in, and it was quite a project because if you look closely you'll see that I had to remove some of the bell housing to get it in there. It just did not have the room, and that should have been one that worked because it's a GM starter and a GM motor. But as you can see, the bell housing on the OMC is just a little bit different. So haven't yet cranked over the motor because two problems. One thing, this battery is too dead to crank over the starter. It just does the buzzing sound. Actually, I'll give you a little example of what it does. Instead of rolling over, that's all it does. Battery's too dead. So good news on that though. You just got to order a new battery. We'll get another battery in. In the meantime, all of the wiring is hooked up, and I've got the trim working, the blower working, the bow outsiders working that adjust your boat tilt, I should say. And just give you a little visual of the ignition. So the other issue is now let's turn this on for a minute. Okay, you'll see that now the gas gauge is registering about 3/8 of a tank. I put $120 in, and that's about what you get. So I'd say about $250 to fill it up. Yeah. So the problem with the ignition switch is we have power to the ignition switch, but yet it's not cranking the solenoid. It's not clicking, it's not doing anything. Doesn't seem to be any power running. The purple wire, according to what I read research on, that purple wire is supposed to go right to your starter, and I can't seem to find the purple wire. I don't know what's happened or where it went. So we have to run a new wire, ignition wire, all down through underneath here and down to the starter, and we get the new battery. That should be all good. So the other problem that we've had is the control for the floodlights. The power was off, so I hooked it back up, and when I did, it just kept going. The one floodlight just kept going in circles because there must be a malfunction in this control switch. So that has to be changed. That's not a big deal though. This one here is working, as you can see, and the direction is working. So if you're out on the water, you can, and you get an emergency situation, you can turn on your floodlight, and that's all good. Okay, so that's about as far as we've got so far. Both the radios are working. Your marine radio and the CB radio works, but I'm assuming that we're just going to get rid of the CB radio. I don't even know if you can use them anymore. But the marine radio will come in handy. And the fish finder is working too. Not sure if it Well, the last time we had it out, it worked. It did spot some fish on there. I don't know if it's efficient enough to use, but we'll give it a try and see if it works. Turn this off. And other than that, I think that we're good to go. Oh, the only other thing that I hadn't mentioned was there wasn't enough room to get by this table because we put a bigger table in here. So we just removed part of the table, and then that gives you a nice little seating area for your laptop on this side. And the captain's chair is here anyway, so you can't get by. So we cut this off so we could get through here, and that's all good. So next move, still waiting on the heads to be machined, and you'll get those on. So, oh, and the other thing too is I'm working on the bilge pump. I took the bilge pump out today and realized it was seized, so it's a good thing I did. So, and then the other thing was we need to get the bilge pump down to the lowest level of the floor. So I have to make some sort of a bracket up to go on this piece of wood here and go over to the bottom of the tank so that the bilge will dump out in case you get a bit of a leak. Okay, that's all for now.